as I take command, tearing through the levels, leaving no one unscathed. I'm the king of the game and I won't be swayed. But there's something that I need, something to push me higher. Talk show Chris Collins and HenricK, they're on fire. They're watching all the rage quitters, exposing them with pain. They keep in gaming real, that's why they get a lot of respect from me. Rage quit, Chris and HenricK, don't you ever stop. You're the voice of the gamers, splittering rage quitters on the spot. With your wit and laughter, you're the champions we need. Rage quit, Chris and HenricK, you're the heroes of the gaming breed. Turn around the video game mayhem. Chris Collins and HenricK, the rat bring the chaos. Gaming news and industry talk, they got it all. Rage quitting, head banging, it's a metal brawl. Mental meltdown, gaming in flames. Chris and HenricK bringing the thunderous rage. Video games and viral content, they're the kings, ripping through pixels, the ultimate game to get away.
What's raging, gamers? Welcome to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. How you doing, HenricK the Wreck?
You know what time it is. It's Wednesday. It's time to talk about some video games.
Yes, we do. We got a jam-packed show for everybody that's tuning in live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, whether it's on YouTube, Twitch, or Meta. We can't thank all you gamers enough. But, you know, like as HenricK just said just now, we always like to start off the show with a bang and show you guys a lot of viral content that is circulating all across the World Wide Web. So let's set the tone. So Season 1 of OG Fortnite yeeted everyone straight back to 2017, complete with the original map, ready to be cranked, looted, and demolished like it's a Walmart on a Black Friday. But Fortnite isn't done with the nostalgia bombs just yet. OG Season 2 is bringing back fan favorites, including the beautifully chaotic So did I. We know who you are, squad member. So even our OG parents are out here catching dubs and flossing in-game, proving that Fortnite is the real multi-generational connector. Let's go ahead and check it out.
Hit him. Don't let him fool you. Don't let him fool you.
Was that on the sword?
Yeah! Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah, baby! Let's go! Woo! Fuck yeah, baby! Fuck yeah! Take that! Whoa! Dance up! Dance up! Shit! Come on, dance!
He was that close to being able to take it a step further with the dance.
Yeah, that always gets me pissed off too. It's like you can get the W, that's one thing, but when you miss the dance, I don't know if it feels the same in the end. But you know what? We all feel for you OG parents out there that are ruining children's lives playing Fortnite. Well, let's go right into the comments. This video made me extremely happy, but also sad at the same time. What a special moment you've captured forever. My old man passed away when there was only flip phones. I wish I had memories like this. Awesome video. You know, yeah, I mean, there's definitely those moments in time where you do wish that you can have that kind of connection with your parents, and, you know, I think that is what us millennials will bring to our future kids, and I think that is really, really cool. I mean, it's such an awesome medium, video games, and so you gotta love it, fam. The next one we got here is 10 kills. Daddy was busting that entire match. Yeah, you know, sometimes you never know who might be on the other side of those controllers. And last, bro had to get the ghost in his corner. Yeah, that was kind of funny when they the camera started to pivot a little bit, HenricK, and, you know, you could tell even his own son was invested on making sure that his OG dad, you know, got that dub, you know, because come on now, winners are champions in the end. But you know what? This was right? But this was awesome. I love this video because Elden Ring streamer Gloom Shadows just defeated Melania with one finger, no hits, and at level 1, because apparently flexing is a core mechanic of the game. We've seen this in the past, right, HenricK? Someone played it with a
classic Souls-like activities here.
Exactly. And what's really cool about this is this streamer was using a Titan 1 device to remap the controls. They turned their controller into a chaotic masterpiece where the roll and sprint is on the L3, the attacks are on the D-pad, and menuing happens via the shoulder button. So basically, they turned the hardest boss into a finger yoga session. It's insane. If you haven't seen it, let's go ahead and take a look.
I just don't even know if I ever could. It just seems way too complicated. Okay, phase 2. Oh, fuck. Okay, it's fine.
Very impressive, considering there's so many people that can't even beat this boss on one try without any, hindrance or handicap.
Right. I mean, I know we're speaking to gamers here, but like, does anybody ever try to do video edits on, like, let's say a MacBook Pro and trying to not use the mouse, but just the trackpad for more than 2 hours?
Oh, yeah.
My fingers hurt at the end of every video editing session. The fact that this person did that is remarkable. I love it a lot. So let's dive right on into these comments. So the first one says, I can barely beat her with 2 hands and a summon. Fair. We all feel your pain. But then again, we do celebrate those 60-hour-long games, right? Nothing's given for, just there's no easy W's, right?
True. And it's always going to feel very satisfying after the 100th attempt at a boss like this and you finally beat them.
I mean, you can see the emotions from the streamer's face. The next one we got is, she fingered Melania to death. Oh, gosh. Of course. No. Look at the profile pic. Oh, my gosh. Okay, and then we got respect. So, you know what? Gamers recognize real compared to, like, other streamers in the past that have been completely debunked as, finessing people in the past, like the one with the chick that, they put the wires on her head and she's like, I'm using my dots, really make it happen. This person's backing it up, by showing you the controller and also the gameplay. Remarkable. It's really, really cool. But you know what? As someone like myself, I know you're a PC guru. I'm a console junkie. So, like, I think I'm kind of celebrating this quite a bit because console-only crossplay is finally here for Call of Duty Warzone and Black Ops 6 Ranked, thanks to the Season 2 update. But let's be real, gamers. We need to be and remain to stay humble, because sometimes you can go in with the plan and then sometimes the plan goes so sideways it loops back into being the theater of the absurd. And this one, I'm telling you right now, is one of those times. You're going to have a laugh. Have you fell for this same mistake before while playing Call of Duty? Let's go ahead and check it out.
Hey, fine. Come here. Say I won't jump off this right now with the both of us. Say I won't break both of our legs.
Do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Who the f*** you calling up? How did you live?
He's a dumbass bitch.
And this is why you do not show off unless you know for absolute certain that you are ahead.
I guarantee this person must be playing Apex Legends quite a bit. Must have forgot which game they were in. Thought that they had
in there.
Well, exactly, and then thought, you know what? Maybe this is what we're so used to in Call of Duty. Like, this is what's considered realistic in, I guess, what we perceive today. But let's go into the comments, because this one wrote, but I get chat banned for saying nothing? I know, I've heard a lot of bleeps in that video.
Yeah.
We've heard people, get banned for a whole month for saying a lot worse things. But then again, you see this and it's real all over it. Absorb the impact for both of y'all. Oh, yeah. That's where the physics comes in. Gotcha. That's what I was missing. And, don't you do it. Don't you bring up that meme again. No, we do not condone violence. Arthur, you taught me that at a very young age.
Definitely feeling it, though,
Arthur was in the wrong then, and we'll always tell you now. But we want to take a moment during the show just to let you guys know we can't appreciate you, the gamers, enough for always tuning in live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because without you guys and girls support, this show would not be possible. So if you haven't scanned the QR code, this is to my YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That is the best way to know when we're going live 24/7.
Yeah, and you see that one, so go ahead and scan that one, because that one goes to my YouTube channel. Don't miss out on that one either, because there's a ton of content on there just waiting to be watched. So go check it out and leave a comment for me. I'll go read it.
Hey, always. We got a lot of things cooking up for today's show. So, HenricK, are you ready to rock and roll?
Oh, yeah. It's time to talk about a game. So let's get ready for Pause or Repeat.
Hey, let's get it.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Caves of Cud. If you've ever heard of or played Dwarf Fortress, Caves of Cud is heavily inspired by it. So much so that the publisher of Dwarf Fortress, Kid Fox Games, picked up Caves of Cud to help them reach their 1.0 release at the end of 2024. How is the gameplay? Let's take a look at it and find out. Caves of Cud is a top-down science fiction roguelike with a very distinct art style. Visually, it takes some getting used to, but after a short while, you're able to discern what is what. The gameplay loop actually follows much of what is established in Dungeons & Dragons. You'll spawn in with a character at your desired location with a build that can either be handcrafted or randomized. After starting, you are tasked with exploring, chatting with NPCs, and completing quests while also engaging in the combat. The game is meant to immerse the audience in the world by letting them discover things on their own, and much of the experience is about reading stats, quest logs, journal entries, and making the correct strategic moves in battle, as it is a turn-based system. While it may not be flashy like more modern games, its strength lies in the world building. So with that said, let's dive into the story. The story of Caves of Cud is very complex, mostly due to the story not being linear and also changing with actions made by the player. As a result, each playthrough will have a slightly different story, but the world building lore is the same. The world of Cud was once ruled by the Eaters of the Earth, who were part of a group of several different alien races. After the fall of the Eaters, the Earth was left to rot and the world was thrown into a post-apocalyptic setting, with only remains of technology and mutated creatures, even yourself if you so desire. But now the question still stands. Pause.
What an intriguing looking game, right? But unfortunately, it kind of made my eyes bleed for a good minute until I understood what I was actually looking at, because you don't understand anything of what you're seeing until it actually tells you and you kind of get used to the environment. And it took me a minute, but once you get there, you know, it's a little easier on the eyes. It's not that bad. And, you know, all the jokes aside, this is a very unique experience in 2025, because clearly the game's not really that modern looking nor really feeling. But is that a downside? What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, well, you know, just to kind of bring in some context around, you know, the Caves of Cud, you know, where the future is a little more retro than you expect and packed with more sentient plants than your grandma's garden, right? I mean, this is what happens when a roguelike, a sci-fi novel, and an acid trip get thrown into a blender and hit puree, all right? Is the planet dying? Is it being reborn? Who cares? Just grab your hypnotized goat and start adventuring. You know, I think the best way to describe the graphics, kind of like what you were just talking about, you know, clearly it's not very modernized, but, you know, have you ever seen Severance on Apple TV Plus, HenricK?
I haven't, but I know it's a really good show. I have heard that.
Well, like, you know, the context of the show is, you know, there's employees that get a brain implant that erases all memories of the outside world, and while they work in like a creepy basement, only to forget that their entire job in the first place was like the second they leave, they forget everything. I kind of imagine that's how the developers were like when they were developing this game. I mean, there must have been some restless developer that wakes up in a fluorescent lit basement, stares at a PC Commodore 64 looking monitor and just codes in radioactive crap, but with a shotgun. And then 8 hours later, he steps outside, he blinks at the sun, and then wonders why his pockets are full of notes about jungles strangling the life out of rusted skyscrapers, or the ice fortress of Ebol, or the crusty wastelands of Yawning Moon. I was like, what the hell is going on? Just as much as I'm sure the developers were wondering, what are we actually making in this game?
Hey, you know, at least you can give them the creativity and actually also giving the gamers themselves the ability to be creative as well. Because, you know, I don't think it's just me and you, but all the people who've played this game to any large extent have had a very unique experience where, you know, one run you'll be like a gunslinger doing akimbo style guns, and the next one you'll be like a robot dude with a little stinger, like a arachnid stinger. It's like, what's going on here? This is just so random. So many things like that are variables that are always changing every run. But it also at the same time keeps things interesting. I mean, everything's not going to be the same for everyone, and you're always going to have a new experience every time you turn on this game and try a new character.
Yeah, I think you got a definitely really good point to that because you do play as a mutant from a salt splattered jungles of Cud, or you're a pure blooded survivor from one of the last ecodomes, and so you're armed with whatever your mutant heart desires, whether it's a rifle, whether it's a vibro blade, or a cat carrying a bomb, right, HenricK? I mean,
Hmm.
that's probably something that you shouldn't trust, but hey, that's what the Caves of Cud is there for you. I mean, you can explore a world that is so massive it makes your Steam backlog look manageable. The developers claim that it's nearly 1 million maps large, so all of it's being generated, so the game has basically no clue what's coming next. And so when I was reading that, and before even playing the game in the press release, I kept thinking to myself, HenricK, it's like as if Cheech and Chong were running the show in Squid Game, making up rules as they go and hoping nobody notices. Like maybe Cheech was smoking on that devil's lettuce, telling Chong, like, hey, Tommy, you see that wall in the way? No problem. Smash it with the pickaxe, or solve it with your corrosive gas mutation, or just turn it into lava with your joint and pretend that you're some kind of fire god.
Or
Like,
just disintegrate everything around you with one click of a button. But
you're
then you won't be
right.
able to do anything for a minute.
I was like so lost when I was like first playing this game, and it's like, and the monsters, they're not just set dressing. I mean, every creature is fully simulated, meaning they have skills, they have gears and allegiances, which is really, really cool. I mean, if you ever dreamed of psychologically controlling a spider and going on a web spinning snack hunting power trip, well, Caves of Cud says, hey, sure, why not? Whatever your figurative imagination can go, that's how you got to take it going into this kind of style of game.
Yeah, and that is the key word actually, is imagination, because you do have to have a pretty wild imagination to get the most out of this game, just like you would with a Dungeons and Dragons
There you
campaign.
go. I think that's actually a very, very good comparison.
Exactly. There's a lot of inspiration from the same experience you get from a tabletop game like that, where
Yeah.
you have a dungeon master and people playing, and the dungeon master is just kind of setting the stage, giving you this scenario, but everyone who's playing alongside the dungeon master has to also just imagine, okay, what can I do in this environment? And in that case, I mean, and also in this one, the sky is kind of the limit in some sense. Like you were
Especially when
saying, all these wacky scenarios, and I'm sure that
yeah.
we have not even touched the surface
Oh,
of
not
the
even
iceberg.
close. I mean, there's factions galore. You could think of apes, crabs, you could think of robots, even the highly entropic beings who probably want to eat your soul, but who knows? No pressure, right? When you jump into this game. But you want
Yeah.
to cozy up with the cave bear who leads a tech restoring cult? Sure, or just dive deep into the lore and find out how plants write history books, then I guess, this is the game for you. It's pretty wild, but, just know this when you play the game, dying in Caves of Cud is as permanent as that one bad tattoo that you got in college. You know who you are, but don't sweat it. Just roll a new character and start all over. It's like having a second chance, only that you're probably going to die again. So think of it like
Yeah.
God of War Valhalla DLC, excuse me, but with more mutant pixelated creatures and fewer ripped out Norse gods. If you know
Yeah,
what I
death
mean.
is just part of the experience, especially when you're just starting out. You're probably going to die to some random like a salamander or a plant or something, and you're going to be like, man, what just happened? How did I die so quickly? But trust the process. You'll get into it and you'll actually last longer. And if it still is too hard, there is a mode you can go into where you save at the settlements, so you're not having to
Yeah,
start
fair
all the
enough.
way from scratch. Might be a little easier for the first time you actually try to make it somewhat far in the game, but yeah, the classic way is really when you die, you go back to the beginning.
Yeah, I kind of sometimes feel like I get a little bit of loss of words when I think about this game, because like, how in the world did Caves of Cud developers come up with all this wild lore? I mean, half of the game reads like ChatGPT went on a psychedelic vision quest, and then maybe DeepSeek will finally explain what the hell is going on, or just make it even weirder. I don't know, but like, if you thought the opening sequence was really, really tough to play in Red Dead Redemption 2, then you might find this game really, really hard to get into, because it takes about an hour to really start to jive with everything, and then you're going to start to realize what some of the imagery on the screen is like, okay, I kind of know what I'm doing and where I'm going with this
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
But if you can't settle into a game and you need to if you need to fully get embraced into it within like a 5 or 15-minute ratio, this game might not be for you. But we got to say this. I got slammed like 2 weeks ago with the whole metaphor take and saying it's worth $70 and how I thought the graphics were completely lame for the price tag. The same criticism has to come for this game as well. They want $30 for a game that looks like it's on the Commodore 64. So when I see this kind of stuff, I have a really hard time spending $30 on this game, and it's hard to convince others to want to play this as well. But what is unique about this game is it's not like, let's say, Uncharted, right, where you do have a linear story. There's a beginning, middle, and end. This game definitely feels like it's going somewhere when it comes to revolutionizing the game in storytelling when it comes to video games. So I think they're on to something because, again, like we've been saying, everybody's going to have a different story when you play this game. It's always going to be wonky and wacky and something new for everybody. Just read the hilarious Steam reviews. You will know what I'm talking about. But for me, I'm going to say this personally, it's a pause. I can't vibe with this game. I think I've long grown past these kind of style of graphics, and I can't get immersed as well. But then again, I'm curious on how you vibe with this game, HenricK.
You are right, because this is the kind of game that you do have to be in the right mindset and mood to play, because like you're saying, it's not going to grab your attention within the first 5 to 15 minutes. That is you still doing the tutorial at that point, basically.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're still learning stuff like 10 hours into this game.
Absolutely.
If not even longer than that. So if that doesn't sound like something that you could really get into, then I would totally understand why you would want to skip this game. And I'll be honest, myself, I actually don't really think that this is a repeat for me either, because it's gonna be one of those situations where if I look at this game and then another game like Ninja Gaiden just got remastered,
Yeah, you gotta be right.
Game looks really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like that draws my attention. Whereas
For a remake,
maybe I don't want to go into the Caves of Cut again and try to do another run, because what am I going to get out of it that I'm not going to get out of and more out of another game that is maybe more flashy, but also just more entertaining for me personally.
Yeah, this would have probably worked in the late 80s. 2025, I don't know so much. But then again,
there is a niche of gamers out there that I'm sure are really enjoying it, considering this is on the top charts of Steam, even though it came out in full release back last year.
True, but there's also another niche of gamers who are impatient like myself, who have a very hard time playing games like Elden Ring and constantly keep getting their ass kicked over and over and over and over again. So if you're like me, you might not vibe and have, the capacity to sit through this game and really let it all come together. In a sense. But we want to hear from you, the gamers. Is this a pause to play something else, or is this a repeat and both of us are just dead ass wrong? Well, we want to hear from you, gamers. Speak up and speak loud. Let us know what's good. But hey, HenricK the Wreck, are you ready to rock and roll, my friend? Because we got so much more to release onto the gamers.
Oh yeah, we got plenty of news, so stay tuned and hit that scene transition.
Hey, let's get it, baby. What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK the Wreck and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. Let's get it. We've hit that point where everyone's already nodded in agreement, but hey, a little extra reassurance never hurts. In a recent Gamertag radio interview, Xbox boss Phil Spencer opened up about Xbox's very chill approach to exclusives. Basically, they're throwing the exclusive label out the window and sliding games onto more platforms. And so when asked the ultimate zinger, why should anyone even buy an Xbox if y'all just handing out games like candy? Well, Phil dropped a corporate mic drop, and so let's go ahead and showcase you guys that clip.
And we're really taking an approach of we want people to be able to play Xbox on many different screens. Now, not every experience will be the same. We obviously love the native experience we have on our own platform and our own hardware. And that's something that will continue for us. But we're not going to put walls up around where people can engage with the great games our studios are building, or where they can experience Xbox through different forms, whether it's cloud, whether it's on PC, whether it's on handheld PCs, whether it's on phones. I want everybody to be able to play on Xbox. And it does mean more of our games shipping on more platforms, not just PlayStation. We love the work that we do with Nintendo. We love what we do with Valve on Steam. And that's going to continue. We'll just continue to do more of it, because what we learn is put the games first. Make sure the games can be as great as they can. We love the experience on our own hardware, our own platform, but our games...
Love it or hate it. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
This is definitely part of their campaign where everything is an Xbox. I mean, this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox. If they wanted to, they could probably make the claim that your head is an Xbox. It's part of that.
Yeah, I mean, love it or hate it, Xbox is embracing a brave new world, and gamers didn't hold back with their hot takes on this shift. So here's what they had to say. So let's dive right on into the first comment. First one says, what does this mean? Games that are typically Xbox exclusive available on the Switch? And then a person follows up by saying Xbox/Microsoft Gaming is moving towards the subscription model rather than relying on hardware sales. They probably continue to make Xbox, but their focus will be to get subscribers to their Game Pass so they get the monthly revenue. And if that's their main strategy, then going multi-platform will help them increase their business. It's a bit going from physical media to streaming, only we don't know if this will be successful or fail. Is this the right move to step away from physical media? Because we do have reports that the next Microsoft Xbox game, Avowed, will only be releasing the standard edition digital. And then if you do want to get the premium edition, gamers, well, you're going to get a box, but no CD. It's going to have a paper code inside of it. So is it really
and they've already been
physical?
doing this. You know, there's been a couple games already that have come out that have done this as well, like the Indiana Jones game, for example. And I believe Starfield also was another example of them doing the same thing. So it is something they want to move towards. They want to get rid of the discs. And if you buy physical, that means you're just going to be getting a box with a code in it.
What if they start doing it like the craze that's been happening in the last year with trading baseball cards and Pokemon cards? And what if we start getting these things graded? Hey, I saw that you didn't use your code yet for Starfield. I think that's gotta what do they call it? PSA grade of 10.
Yeah.
All protected. Because CDs are gonna be non-existent real soon. We covered this back when Best Buy were removing CDs, okay? So this is where we are going in the future. Xbox, quote unquote, our people are now buying your blue jeans and listening to your pop music. Yeah, I mean, some people tend to walk in line. And then another one is Xbox about to be the new Sega. Oh, okay. Over 3,000 ups on that comment, with another follow-up that says, I think it's something new, honestly. I think they'll always make hardware, probably always third place too, but with effectively a permanent timed exclusive catalog, they'll have a dedicated hardware and a Game Pass presence and then make extra money from every other gamer. They're almost breaking the tradition of the past. However, the success of this will only be known with time. So do you think that they're kind of getting the best head start into cloud gaming? And is that the right move to physically remove yourself away from the console wars? What do you think, HenricK?
Well, they've not really been doing very well in sales competing with their competitors, PlayStation and Nintendo. So it wouldn't be too out of the scope of things for them to just say, you know what, we're not going to make any more Xbox hardware after this certain date and generation because we just don't make money off of them.
Yeah,
And
it's so
at that
crazy to even
point,
think that.
they
Wow.
do rely then on the studios that they've bought and Game Pass, which, when you think about it, that is essentially what Sega does, minus the Game Pass. Sega owns a bunch of studios and they make money off of the studios making games.
Yeah, There you go. So maybe they need to start to embrace the future of streaming video games. The next comment we got here is it's a no-brainer for them at this point. Doom: The Dark Ages is going to make an absolute killing on the PS5. Oh. And it's going to look killer on the Pro. So some people feel like even with their own games that they publish and produce still won't be satisfying even for the Xbox console gamers out there.
And that is what happens when you don't give console exclusives, you know? Like, people make the joke that a PS5 doesn't have any games, but it does have some games, and the thing about those games is they are only on PS5.
Yeah.
That is why people will buy a PS5 to play things like Final Fantasy. Well, that's actually now on Steam, so that's not a great example for Final Fantasy. But, you know, Astrobot, right?
Yeah, there
That's
you go.
exclusive.
Well, like Spider-Man for like the longest time as well. You can think of like Kratos and God of War. Yeah, I definitely understand your point that you're trying to make.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one. The console war is over. The gamer scores I've lost. The Xbox Live friends I've lost won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there. You feel it too, don't you? And Microsoft played the Xbox fans like a damn fiddle. Wow. Like, so some Xbox fans are not taking this lightly. And then the last comment we got here is I can see them competing in the Steam Deck / mobile PC space for Xbox. They already own Windows, so the internal OS licensing fee is non-existent. They think they can also come in and sell at a lower cost than the Legion Go and Steam Deck, be a quote-unquote take your Xbox and window games everywhere, end quote, kind of platform. I also think that their next Xbox console proper will have Windows integration in order to fully realize that the idea of play anywhere like they want. I mean, there might be some truth to it. I did see that Microsoft is now pushing that you can connect your iPhone to Windows now, and you can, you know, use your text and, you know, FaceTime and all that kind of stuff coming real soon to the PC. So maybe they want to get a little bit more friendly with some of those outside competitors and bring them all into the mix. But I guess the real question that everybody's kind of wondering, HenricK, is are we witnessing for the first time in our adult lives that a gaming publisher might pull a full-on rage quit and never respawn? Because Xbox strategy shift has us wondering if they're saving the game or speed running straight into a game over screen. How are you viewing all this?
They say that they're going to come out with another generation of hardware, so I would give them at least one more generation. But then again, anything is possible. Maybe they'll do something like a handheld instead, which if they do that, I think that it could be a hit, but it really wouldn't be something that people would buy if they are wanting to play games on it. I feel like that's not the market for that, like for console gamers at least. That would be for the market of gamers that are looking to play PC and Game Pass on a device, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because handhelds are not really that powerful when it comes down to it compared to a console experience. Just
Right.
because of the optimization of the hardware and everything. So,
well, we started to slowly see that push start to come into fruition, especially when, the iPhones, the latest model was trying to really push like, hey, you can, play Assassin's Creed Mirage on it, Resident Evil, right? So they were really kind of pushing for that digital aspect of gaming on all devices, right? So if they're trying to cater to all devices, what does that mean? Well, you can't sell physical copies anymore. And so I think Xbox is kind of coming to the realization like, look, especially when you read data like this from a marketing research organization called Circana, they said that sales of boxed video games in the USA slumped to their lowest point in over 25 years in 2024. So according to that data, revenue generated by physical software has more than half since 2021, and it is a whopping 85% below its peak in 2008, which some people feel like that was like a golden age in the modern era. But also, to parlay that together, the startling data, HenricK, to me at least, is the underlines of where Sony released the PS5 Pro without a disc drive. Remember all that? Well, 49% of all PS5 hardware sold in the US last year did not include a disc drive. So, that is wow.
yeah, I mean, and a lot of people are really going towards digital purchases of things just because, yeah, it is nice to have the physical and have it on the shelf, but a lot of people also don't necessarily have the space for a huge game collection. And, I'm sorry to say, but those boxes do take up a lot of space after collecting them over 3, 4 generations, So
Yeah.
it is one of those things where if I were to have, for example, my entire Steam library in physical, I would not have space in my house for that.
You need another hall closet. No,
Yeah, because
see,
you're looking at like 600 games there. So imagine 600 boxes. That wouldn't fit anywhere.
See, I think that's a fair point, for hobbyists out there that like to collect physical video games. But you also got to take into account what's happening in the industry too. We have President Donald Trump who is proposing 25% tariff imports on Mexico and Canada. That's expected to take place on February 1st, which could significantly impact the U.S. gaming market. That's what some experts are warning. And the reason why they're saying that is people need to understand that Mexico and Canada rank among the United States' top 3 trade partners. So collectively accounting for 30% of the total value of U.S. imports last year, according to the federal trade data. So what does that mean with the rippling effect in the video games market? Well, people need to understand that the number of physical game releases that get sent out to the United States come from Mexico. So a 25% tariff would disrupt the supply chains, and that would increase manufacturing cost, which would mean what? $80 games for a physical copy? I think I've sweat when I have to pay for a $70 game. $80 now because of the financial impact that's happening, globally. Or, what could happen too is they can mitigate that impact of a potential tariff to go somewhere else, right? Instead of producing in Mexico, they could shift the production away from those tariff effective regions. But I feel like a lot of these studio, and developers are like, I don't even want to deal with even that headache alone. Or also on a final note, HenricK, think about Netflix. I will keep screaming Netflix until, always in the conversation with cloud gaming, because I feel like they are creeping in pretty freaking fast. And I know even this month, the co-chief executive officer, Gregory Peters, said that the company has made good early progress in its launch of their games, started as of last year, and they are already starting to roll out party and couch co-op games that you can stream online. So I think, when you got, 19 million added streamers coming to Netflix, they're trying to introduce more live sporting events to their platform. You don't think that Netflix also wants to get into the hub of all things gaming and bring you a library to all your devices like Phil Spencer is saying? Yeah, if I was Phil and the rest of the team, I'd probably start moving just as fast too.
I mean, the biggest struggle for them is the marketing push, because there's still not a whole lot of people that really know that Netflix even has games available. But they could actually do something as long as they make it so that people understand. Yeah, there's games on Netflix and games worth playing at that too, not just like a trivia crack or something,
Yeah, no, I think that is a very fair criticism. I mean, the likes of Amazon Luna, right? Like, people are still a little bit nervous about even wanting to pursue that. And it was just like Xbox bringing the PC Game Pass. Like, hey, I know Xbox. I used to play on it as a kid, but I moved on to the PC gaming world. Do I really want to go back to Xbox? But you feel more like Xbox would be the way to go because I know the name brand compared to like Amazon. What can they really offer? But I'm telling you, watch it closely. Don't be surprised if Apple tries to come into the mix. Everybody wants to control the App Store. They do not want to see their games get, trickled away through some third-party app, and I think that's kind of where we're going. But you, the gamers, we want to hear from you. Do you think this is a big mistake for Phil Spencer and the Xbox team to step away from focusing on the future of the Xbox console and bring in their exclusive games to multi-platform? Or do you think this is something that needs to be celebrated and is something that will push the industry even further for the future of video games? Let us know what's good.
Yeah, well, moving on to other news, still talking about numbers in some sense, though, because
a lot of industry talk.
We did see recently that NVIDIA had one of their worst days ever in stocks, but they're not the only ones who've been suffering, because Electronic Arts, or also known as EA, just watched $6 billion vanish into thin air like a bad microtransaction after announcing that Dragon Age the Veilguard and FC25 totally flopped harder than a broken loot box.
Oh, yes, they did.
Yeah. And they, of course, blame FC25's slowdown over Christmas, quote unquote slowdown,
Yeah.
which sounds like a polite way of saying no one played our game during the holiday season, which that is an interesting statement. I thought that people play video games over the holidays when they get them in gifts.
Well, you know what's so crazy?
Oh, well.
There was this is kind of a little bit of a sidebar from this conversation, but they did release that on Christmas Day. 30 million hours were played on Fortnite and 20 million hours were played on Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So that means for Fortnite gamers, they played 2.5 hours of gaming on Christmas Day. That's
on
crazy.
average. Yeah.
So that's why EA's a little salty. I'm pretty sure it takes an hour to play one game.
Well, meanwhile, though, Dragon Age the Veilguard, which released in October, only managed to pull in 1.5 million players, which is still a bit, but it's like hosting a massive party and having 50% of your guest list cancel at the last minute.
Yeah.
And this is because, of course, they expected more out of the game. It's, 1.5 million is still a lot of people, but they expected that they were going to hit greater numbers.
Yeah.
So, of course, gamers had their thoughts to share on EA's slump with the following comments.
Oh, yes, they did. So let's go ahead and dive right into the comments. The first one says, funny how Dragon Age started out as a spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate. Now Baldur's Gate is back and stronger than ever, and EA has run BioWare and Dragon Age into the ground. Yeah, that's, part of it I still believe is because of the bod. Do the push-ups. You said the wrong pronouns, so
it was just
you were a bad guy.
Publicity, which bad
like we talked
publicity
about
is still
this, though,
publicity, but it in this sense means that the people who don't jive with that are not going to buy your game.
But like we talked about this, and we even covered it, even in pause and repeat. The gameplay is still pretty fun, but yeah, the story can be cringy. But that one scene alone wasn't the overall premise of the game. But it's stuff like that that can tank a studio when you try to politicize every little notion of cultural society today. And sometimes people go to play video games to escape from all that nonsense, and sometimes we don't want to feel educated, and I think that's kind of the slump that happened. But then again, we also got comments that say, for comparison, Dragon Age Inquisition sold 1.14 million copies in its first week of launch, 12 million by 2024. So Dragon Age Veilguard reached 1.5 million players in 3 months. That's why it's so detrimental and making a lot of these people that are sitting at the board of directors are thinking, do we even continue with this series? Is this a good series? Or what are we doing? But then
this is why they didn't do any DLCs. They're not going to do that. They're going to move on to the next thing, which is Mass Effect.
Just like how we covered like last week, where more games from Sony are like, whoa, we're not doing this whole live service thing. No way.
Exactly.
It's like how Spider-Man 2 were like, wait, what? We don't get no DLCs? And it's because the live service was supposed to come with it, but they ditched it at the last second. Probably saving, their iconic studio altogether. But then we get comments like this. Don't know why people constantly keep buying FC25. Same nonsense every single year. Not to mention the gambling mechanics prevalent within the game. Disgusting company. Yeah, I find that to be a problem. There was a story that was trending, this morning, HenricK, where, EA shut down 12 more games. And you go, 12 more games? What are you talking about? And then one of the games on the list was Madden EA 2021. And you're thinking, well, yeah, who the hell is playing that game? Because every single time you want to upgrade your roster, you got to buy year after year after year. And then you start to wonder whether EA would be, as much as we've been clowning live service games, but you do start to wonder, would EA work better if they just stop selling it year by year by year and just go the live service route, since so many people are committed towards your ultimate team style of gameplay featured in the game?
Double dipping, they're getting the revenue of releasing the game every year and also the revenue of the microtransactions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely they hit the nail on the hammer. And EA still sucks, but BioWare has done this to themselves. BioWare has long relied on BioWare magic to finish games at the last minute. What is BioWare magic, you might ask? It's putting their employees under draconian crunch time in the final 6 months of development to finish a game they've been twiddling their thumbs at for years. Remember how Anthem sucked? Well, BioWare had almost complete control over that. The only time EA stepped in was when an executive said they should keep the flight mechanics when BioWare developers were thinking about cutting it. EA suits were actually responsible for the game's one saving grace. But BioWare has done everything in their power to lose the goodwill of gamers following the Mass Effect trilogy, and honestly giving Mass Effect 3's original ending we should have seen like this coming ages ago. Yeah, there's a lot of people that I've been seeing online because of the failure in success for Dragon Age the Veilguard, that a lot of people are getting really, really nervous for the next rendition of the Mass Effect series. Do you feel that
Yeah.
kind of same sentiment that BioWare can turn this thing around?
Well, if they learn their lessons from this not doing so well, the Dragon Age game, then maybe they will actually, change course with Mass Effect. But they also haven't made a Mass Effect game in a long time. So they are already fighting the idea of having to bring in people who don't maybe even have a history of playing the games.
Yeah, this has definitely created rumblings, behind the scenes, because we have heard that the creative director has stepped down, wasn't fired, but stepped
Mhm.
down from working with BioWare moving forward. So clearly there has been disagreements on failure of the game and a further push for the future of the company. Another comment that we got here is, are we even allowed to talk about it here? The other topics was locked, But the director gets fired, quits. This is something that I was just referencing just after the game's release. It's normal. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to do with Veilguard. The game doesn't even sell 1.5 million copies. It's normal. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to do with Veilguard. EA shares tank. It's normal. Nothing to see here, folks. Companies lose billions in valuation all the time. That is not news. Nothing to do with Veilguard. And when BioWare gets shut down, it's normal. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to do with Veilguard. So some people feel like EA is just like that weed that we always keep forgetting to prick out across our beautiful rows. And, we would rather get pricked by the thorns, but, sometimes it's the outside people that kind of come in and just kill it altogether. I mean, do you find that to have any kind of truth? I mean, I have a hard time thinking that. I mean, right before we jumped on, we were looking at the top 10, selling units of 2024, and there was at least 4 out of the 10 were EA. So,
Yeah, they still have something to hold on to in the industry, and if anything, it is really the sports games because they do
yeah.
sell and they do make money off that. Even if all the other games that they make were not successful in the year, their sports games are more likely to be successful than anything else,
Yeah.
and they're going to make money off of that. And yeah, they might have to cut back on budgets and things of that nature, but at the end of the day, they're not going to just shut down all of a sudden.
Yeah, it just feels like people just don't have any faith that they can tell story-driven content.
Yeah.
And that's probably what the problem is. And then Ubisoft and EA dying are the two best news so far in 2025. I don't know. I always find those comments to be so strange. Like, when do we ever, I mean, I would have never felt that way 20, years ago, where it would be like, hey, I want to see the downfall of EA and Ubisoft, because they always brought us some of our favorite video games growing up, and then to see people now want to turn against them and see the worst, I mean, it's horrible. But then again, it's like, Henry, can EA bounce back from this $6 billion setback, or is this just the beginning of their loot box of problems?
They'll bounce back. I'm pretty sure, yes, 6 billion is a lot of money to have lost on big projects. But like I was saying with the comments, their money makers are the sports games and all the microtransactions that they have in their live service games, like Apex Legends as well. So the game sales themselves, while 6 billion is going to hurt for a bit, it's not going to make them shut down. It's going to make it so that, if anything, they should learn from their lessons if they're going to be anything smart about this mistake. And for the next game that they make that's going to be story driven, they got to really hit it out of the park, which is
Yeah.
going to be Mass Effect more than likely is going to be the big thing. that has to be done well. And if it's done well, they'll get a lot of people back on their side. But it is going to still take at least a few more games for people to really expect them to be on the right course.
Yeah, I mean, there could be some truth to that as well. I think also, FC25, for example, not so much Dragon Age the Veilguard, got kind of a lot of shit in the beginning when the game first dropped. A lot of people thought there was a lot of bugginess to the game, a lot of mechanics that needed to be reworked out. Yes, I know. It's always frustrating paying for a $70 plus game, and then day one, it's just like, what are we doing? So I know this month they dropped their most significant mid-season gameplay overhaul to date, and so after, sought after community request, according to EA. So they're hoping that they believe that they will bounce back for sure. And then when it comes to, the game director that stepped away from, the Dragon Age, the Veilguard, she's claiming she's left BioWare because there was an offer that she quote unquote couldn't turn down. Whether there's really any truth to that, we'll probably most likely never know. But I found this to be very fascinating, HenricK. The more and more I started to read about this downfall and this hysteria that's been happening because, the $6 billion, valuation dropping. But according to the EA executives, young fans will increasingly get hooked on soccer and other sports through video games rather than attending matches. And she goes on to say it's because it's so difficult and just the cost of getting tickets for those top flight European soccer teams means that she believes our games will be going nowhere anytime soon, and believes that video games will be the future of actually bringing fans all across the world their first taste of the sport through gaming, not live events. That is the senior director of esports at Electronic Arts, Monica Dismore. Is she on to something, or are you just like, is that the most ludicrous statement I've ever heard in my life?
No, it makes sense. I mean, a lot of the sports tickets are expensive, and when you are a kid growing up trying to get into any sport, it's going to be a hard sell for you to tell your parents or whoever's taking care of you to not only buy a ticket for you, but also for themselves. And if you're a family of, say, 5, that's 5 tickets probably that you're going to have to pay out of pocket for, which you're looking at a couple $100 then minimum for that family just to be able to go see a sport. And it might not seem like a whole lot if you're a group of people who are adults, but when you're a kid and you're living off of just an allowance, you don't have a job, you can't pay for that yourself.
Yeah, no, so true, man. I mean, and even this other comment, just to kind of wrap up this conversation, well, the senior director of esports at Electronic Arts followed it up by saying, hey, listen, we've been very focused on trying to bring this crossover event with the soccer's European Champions League, where the esports champions were crowned the day before the Champions League final itself. So they were able to present the trophy on the actual pitch to the winner of the E-Champions League. So we are in a totally different world today than what we were in the esports world 25 years ago. So yeah, there's definitely like a further blurring of the boundaries between video games and live sports world. So very, very wild. I mean, just taking into account, we saw the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs was streamed from inside EA's Madden NFL game. I mean, the future of EA's possibilities can definitely bounce back from this heartache. But do you feel like they got to do more than just beyond EA Sports route, or do you think they need to put a little bit more focus in their first-person story play to be able to have a successful model in the future? Will Ultimate Team revenue finally die out? Who knows? But we want to know from you, the gamers. But hey, let's go into this conversation, HenricK, because I mean, listen, just to kind of set the mood. They'll look like the innocent flower, but the game like the serpent under it. Well, that's the vibe that the Royal Shakespeare Company takes a bold leap into gaming with Lily, their first ever video game developed alongside New York indie studio Ink Stories. So this noir thriller reimagines Lady Macbeth as a decision-driven anti-hero navigating a modern Iran backdrop of authoritarian rule and gender oppression. Perfect for anyone who thought, wow, I wonder how I can turn this play of, maybe Macbeth might need a point-and-click drama with the dash of hackers playing witches. Yeah, I mean, we always get a little bit elaborative when it comes to, plays from hundreds of years ago. But gamers will guide Lady Macbeth through her bloody journey while presumably whispering out damn spot every time they mess up. So Lily is slated for a 2025 release, but that hasn't stopped the internet from casting its own judgment. So here's what gamers are saying about the Royal Shakespeare Company's first ever video game being developed. So the first comment we got here is, I'd love to see some Telltale game equivalents of famous plays where you can play through the alternative outcomes. Someone pitch this to whoever makes such games. I think Elsinore is kind of like that time loop game where you can play as Ophelia from Hamlet and try to stop everyone dying. Haven't played, but heard good stuff. I haven't played it either. But yeah, Telltale's, everybody loves that. They did a great job with The Walking Dead and the Batman. I would love to try that out.
No, that would be the studio to do this, if anything, and actually do it justice based on their track record. But you just have to pitch it to them, and they might not want to do that. So,
but even with the screenshot too, it seems like they definitely don't want to go down the video game animation route, but they want to bring the gaming aspect to
like
your
live
screen.
Action.
It seems like that
sort of captured stuff. Yeah,
right. It seems like that, but maybe they might need to take on this idea. Also, I don't think the Bard would approve. That's so stupid. Okay, dumb. From daggers to digital noir, Macbeth's shadows weaves new tales. Art's timeless dance in a neon-lit realm. Wow, Da Vinci AI. Thank you.
Da Vinci himself.
Da Vinci AI himself approves this message. Can't wait to see this modern twist on a classic play. So some people are embracing it. They think it's about time that, William Shakespeare's plays show up not just in Assassin's Creed games as a character, but actually his work. We also got, I want the people who make The Quarry to make it. I love how there are like 15 endings in them, and something like Macbeth would be perfect for them. Everybody just loves the idea that a play will have alternative endings. Very, very fascinating. And then the last one that we got is turn the plebeians against Brutus via crowd meter. Alas, Guitar Hero. Dumb. You guys are hilarious. I love these comments. But then again, HenricK, if Lady Macbeth's hands are always covered in blood, does that mean her controller is going to have permanent stick drift? Okay, all jokes aside. But if Shakespeare...
I think the controller has more issues if that's the case.
I know, fair enough. Someone check on the pulse. But all jokes aside, if Shakespeare were alive today, would he be hyped about his work entering the gaming world, or would he be too busy trying to figure out how to download Steam?
It might be the latter. I have a history of theater. That is what I got a degree in, theater arts. And this does sound interesting, but also theater is one of those mediums that people come up with different and wacky ways of doing things. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's only praised by people within the industry of theater, and people outside of it, they don't think it's good. So it might be one of these situations with this one. We'll have to see when the game comes out. But as it stands, it does look like one of the games from like the 90s. Like I remember there being a adaptation of Night Trap, the movie. And that was made into a game where it had like, it was kind of an interactive movie in a way. Like you were doing actions as the player, but then there were like motion videos playing of like what was actually filmed. It was interesting, and that was a style of game that was done back then. So if they really embrace that, maybe the indie scene might embrace them as well, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. I think also, too, the problem with theater today is it's like the same criticism we were saying in the last topic, is that, some people don't want to go inside the theaters and feel like everything's got to be a politically driven message. That's what I always joke about. It's like, what playhouse in the city of Los Angeles can you go to where you can just see a fun play? Like, where's SpongeBob SquarePants the musical? It's so freaking hard to find anything like that. So when I hear that, this interactive story-based game that's using cinematic footage with this point-and-click function set in modern Iran, kind of makes me nervous because it's like, oh my gosh, like, is it going to be one of these things where you're trying to educate, the viewer on something,
Yeah.
especially when you set it in this authoritarian rule and gender oppression? You start to wonder, like, okay, you're using the Macbeth backdrop, but like, is that going to hurt you guys for your first ever video game? Those are some of the things that I start to think about. But then again, Lily is currently in development with the 2025 release date and platforms to be announced. But this is not the first game based on Shakespeare's work, but it's the first direct from the Royal Shakespeare Company. So much success to you guys along with Ink Stories. But are you guys excited, and girls, to be playing Macbeth in a video game setting? Let us know what's good.
Yeah, and to end things off for the show today, we're diving headfirst into another
Yes, we
Reddit
are.
showdown. And this time, a brave gamer dared to ask the unthinkable. What one video game announcement would break the internet more than any other right now? And I hold your answers because we'll
Yeah.
get to them. And I'm sure you'll have some good ones because naturally, of course, gamers pounced on this question like a loot goblin spotting a legendary drop. And the
Yeah.
answers came flooding in faster than a noob in a laggy lobby. Here's what they had to say.
Yes, that's what. Let's go right on into it because the first one that we got here is GTA 6 canceled. We're gonna be focusing on GTA Online 2, Electric Shark Card, Boogaloo.
You know what sucks about this comment is that I could actually see that happening.
Right, I know, and then it becomes a mobile gotcha game. Like, oh
Yeah.
my Lanta, that would be horrible. And then the next one that we got here is Steam as an entire platform is being sold to Tencent. Steamoo? Right. I mean, dude, if this TikTok ban comes in, you're gonna lose your entire Steam library. No!
True, yeah.
Like,
Better
that'd be
hope that Tencent isn't flagged as a military company anymore at that point.
Right? But then again, we're going to get the PC2 announcement, and then we got a follow-up that says, better effing not. I just spent a lot of money upgrading to a PC1.
PC1.
I know, right? No, damn you, tech gods. What are you doing to me? And then we also got comments that say, Orange Box 2 containing Half-Life 3, Portal 3, Left 4 Dead 3, and Team Fortress 3? Orange Box was such a slam dunk. What a smart play. Maybe that might be the only way to save physical media. You can't drop one game. You got to drop like 4 in a box, and then
I don't think actually if the Orange Box were to come out today though that it would be a physical item sold by Valve.
Yeah, I know.
Considering they own Steam,
we can
it
only
would
wish.
be digital.
Yeah, you ain't lying, HenricK. Well, Elder Scrolls 6 release date in 2025. Yeah, that I would agree. That would break the internet for sure.
Would.
Because everybody's joking that we're not even going to get this until like 2035. But then this person writes up and says they can't possibly release anything that lives up to the hype and expectations for it. Bethesda needs to pull a miracle out of their ass for Elder Scrolls 6. Yeah, I mean you could say that, but then again, we didn't say this even during the Xbox conversation, but Xbox got reported that over $500 million it was what they earned. And that was coming from their own video games being published. And what would that game be? Call of Duty Black Ops 6. And so obviously that's on the PC. It's on Sony. So all that kind of stuff is pretty wild. So don't hate on Bethesda all the time. Well, I know that's not necessarily, but I mean, you can't always hate in the direction that Xbox and Microsoft is going. They'll be all right. But then we got another comment, the last one that says Pokemon MMO RPG. Yep, when I think of taking the world by storm, I immediately think of Pokemon Go. If they were able to make something top tier that suited all ages, it would blow the F up. Yeah, I would be, that sounds like a dream. A lot of us saw Pal World and we just kept wishing, like, what can Pokemon do next? And so I'm just curious on HenricK, like, what's your pick? I mean, which announcement would truly shatter the internet or at least make Twitter implode for a week?
Based on the memes, I'm going to say Half-Life 3, but here's a caveat to that.
Okay.
We've seen a lot of studios do shadow drops of games in more recent years, and it get a lot of success by them doing that. So I'm thinking what would break the internet would be a shadow drop of Half-Life 3 and then them announcing at the same time, oh, and in a month we're going to come out with Portal 3. And in a month from that, we're going to get TF3 as well. And oh, by the way, all of the last games, they're free to play now.
You know what this is reminding me of how Warp Tour is dropping 6 new artists every day until like the end of February. Isn't that like the worst practice I've ever seen in my life? I mean, the concert already sold out last year, and then all of a
Just
sudden
let us know who's playing.
Just let us know, man. Like, I hate this practice that we're doing. It's like they're trying to copy the Coachella model, but forget about music. Let's not even talk about that right now, because we're here for all things gaming. And I'm going to try to keep to the overall conversations that we've been having on today's patch notes topics. And HenricK, imagine waking up to the wild news that Xbox Game Pass is coming to the PlayStation consoles. I mean, the internet would completely break, Twitter would explode, and PlayStation fans are suddenly way too friendly with their Xbox owning friends. I mean, they would probably be chuckling a little bit. But then again, Netflix is over here like, wait, you're telling me that those two gaming gurus want to get in on cloud gaming now? Well, honestly, it's going to be like watching a reality show where everyone is scrambling to get the same prize. And so what does Netflix do? They broker a deal with Steam to bring their software to their platform.
Yeah, that would actually get a lot of attention. You are right. Yeah.
That would be something. I mean, it's definitely very far-fetched. I forgot to put on my tinfoil hat on. But then again, if that does come true, we're going to clip this, and I'm going to be like, I told y'all that's what's happening. But then again, we want to hear from you. What would be that gaming news that if it was to drop tomorrow, what would that be? What would break the internet? Let us know what's good. But, man, this has been quite a long, jam-packed show. But then again, we can't thank you, the gamers, for always tuning in live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because without your guys' support and girls, the show would not be possible. So let's go ahead. I just want to show you guys my QR code. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show.
Yeah, and you see that one there, so scan that one as well. Goes to my YouTube channel. Don't miss out on there, because I have plenty of content just waiting for you to watch. So just go check it out. Drop a comment. I respond to them, so I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Go right now.
Exactly. And we also want to do another little shout out too. We've been working behind the scenes all during during the season 7 off break to be able to bring Rage Quits to episodes to more platforms. And so this Friday coming up, the last day of the month in January 2025, we will be releasing Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show as a podcast format. So make sure to keep a lookout on our social media feeds. We will be dropping the links of when it will be available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all that fun jazz. So keep a lookout for that. You will only know if you scan that QR code from both HenricK the Wreck and your boy Chris Collins. But we will see you next week, fam. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll see you soon.